Hello everybody and welcome to lesson 2 in the Gledholt Male Voice Choir's Learning How to Read Music series. As with lesson 1, grab yourself a cup of tea, get yourself somewhere quiet where you can concentrate, a good set of headphones or a good set of speakers, and try to concentrate. Obviously the video goes on for quite a while. This is quite a long session. Although it doesn't actually have all that much material, what we're doing in this one is consolidating part of what we've learned about notes and note values regarding rhythm in lesson 1. This develops onto that. We're going to talk about bars, time signatures and tempo. So once again, the material taken from this is from the Associated Board's Guide to Music Theory, the pink book. This is from chapter 1. You'll find all the material in there if you wish to read further, and the exercises that I refer to at the end come from the workbook Discovering Music Theory number 1. And the exercises we're looking at are exercises 4 to 8. As I said, it's not the shortest of videos, so find yourself somewhere comfortable, somewhere quiet, grab yourself a cup of tea or a beer and have a look through the video. Feel free to pause it, stop it, use it as you wish. But by the end of this, you should be able to confidently tackle any exercises within the workbook around bars, bar lines, counting beats, and tempo. So thanks ever so much for joining me again. As usual, if you have any feedback that you wish to offer, let me know. I need to know that people are enjoying this and that I'm getting it across at the level that you require. I promised you bite-sized chunks. This is the amount of material that we're covering is only bite-size, but it's going to take some concentrating, so have fun and get in touch if you need to let me know that I'm not getting this across in the way that you need to. So we'll see you at rehearsals, and don't forget, put what you're learning into practice at choir. Thank you. So this is the second lesson in the Gledholt Male Voice Choir Reading Music series. This is lesson 2, and today we're going to be looking at rhythm and tempo. So what will we learn during this particular video? We're going to learn how the music we sing is ordered into bars. In the last lesson we learnt about notes and note values as a start to our rhythm journey. We're also going to note how the beat is denoted by a time signature. We're going to learn how the notes that we learnt in lesson 1 are written to create rhythm. And we're going to learn how the tempo of a song is shown and how it affects the music that we sing. We're going to start off with bars and bar lines. Bars are a section of the song divided by vertical lines called bar lines, and they look like this. Each of those bars will contain an identical number of beats. They're always the same unless we're told otherwise. And we'll learn all about how we're told how many beats there are in a bar when we get to the part about time signatures. They run through the whole song and they're numbered so that we can reference them quickly when rehearsing or performing. Many times, for example, Jim will say, let's start at bar 128 or let's start at bar 45. So we'll be able to look at the little number above those bars so that we can see where we're going to be singing from. They're just there for reference. At the end of the song, we'll see a final bar line, which is a thick line and a less thick line next to it. Sometimes, when we're reading a piece of music, and you can look for these in certain pieces, you'll see a double bar line, which looks like this. It's two thin lines. It doesn't have that thick bar to the right, bar line to the right. That indicates a new section or a pause or a break in the music. And again, if you look through your folder of music, you'll sometimes see that double bar line simply at the end rather than the thick final bar line that I've shown above. So those are bar lines. You'll see what they look like. Now, it's all very well having music arranged into bars. Bar lines separate groups of notes, But how do we know how many beats there are of one bar? It's actually quite crucial that we know how many beats there are to each bar. Let's go back to the soldiers' boots marching, shall we? In the examples that we listened to in Lesson 1, they marched with definite beat, left, right, and being soldiers and being disciplined, that's a constant, repetitive pulse throughout the time that they're marching. It's very steady. And we can use bar lines to show this beat, left, right, left, right. So in that example, we're going to say that each bar contains 2 crotchets. We're going to imagine that left is one crotchet and right is a second crotchet. And that would look like this. So between 2 bar lines, we've got 2 beats. Left, right, left, right. And it sounds like this. To show the number of beats in a bar, we need a time signature. This consists of 2 numbers stacked one on top of each other. It looks like a fraction, but it doesn't have that dividing line across. So it's just, on this example, it's a 2 stacked above a 4. The top number always denotes the numbers of beats in a bar. The bottom number denotes what time value that note has. And here are the time values that you will see in time signatures. A 4 indicates that the beats are measured in crotchets. A 2 shows that the beats are in minims, and an 8 means that the beats are in quavers. That's why some people call them quarter, half and eighth notes, because obviously it looks like that part of a fraction. Our soldiers are marching to a beat of 2 crotchets per bar, as we've shown in our example. And we would show this as a 2/4 time signature. The time signature is always shown at the beginning of the score and looks like this. So you've got the 2 over the 4, indicating that it's 2 crotchets per bar. There's 2 crotchets in the first bar, then a bar line, 2 further crotchets, and another bar line. Every bar in this time signature will last for 2 crotchet beats. So where you have a 2 over a 4, you know that every bar contains 2 beats, and that those 2 beats are crotchet beats. The notes in each bar will add up to 2 crotchets, but will of course often be mixed notes. In our 2 crotchets or 2/4 time signature, we could have any combination of the notes we've learnt so far, except of course for semi-breves, because there's 4 crotchet beats to a semi-breve, as you'll remember, and that won't fit in a 2/4 bar. The time value in a 2/4 must add up to 2 crotchets. So 2 crotchets we've seen already, or a single minim, or 4 quavers, or 8 semiquavers, or a mixture of them, as long as the total adds up to 2 crotchet beats. It may sound like I'm labouring and repeating this, but it is quite important that we remember and apply our knowledge of the musical note values, that we mentally and quickly can total up the number of beats in a bar depending on the time signature. In Grade 1 theory, we're going to work with 2 other time signatures. Those are 3/4 and 4/4. There are other more complicated time signatures, and you'll see them as you look through your folder of music. You'll see that there are 6/8s, there are 2/2s, and various other time signatures. But just for the purposes of these exercises, we're going to keep it relatively simple, and we're going to work on 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4 time signatures. Remembering, of course, that the top number is the number of beats and the lower number is the time value, so these 2 are 3 crotchets to the bar and a 3/4 time signature, which looks like this. So we've got a 3 over a 4, indicating a 3/4 time signature, and 1, 2, 3 crotchets, then a bar line, then another 3 crotchets and a bar line, and so on throughout the piece. We then have a 4/4, which are 4 crotchets to the bar, and it looks like this: a 4 over a 4, and we count the crotchets in each bar: 1, 2, 3, 4, then a bar line, then 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll often see 4/4 time shown as a C. It stands for common time and means exactly that. This is the most common time signature that we'll see. And if you look at any piece of music and you see a C at the beginning that doesn't have a strike line through it, it means that you are in 4/4 time. Use your knowledge to check, look at the next couple of bars on from that time signature and count up the beats and see how many crotchets fit, and you will find that if you see a C, it will always add up to a 4/4 time bar. Once again, we're going to labour the fact that all the notes of one bar will always add up to the time signature values. They're often a mixture, so we need to remember the note values we learnt in lesson 1. So a bar of 4/4 may have a single semibrief, 2 minims, 4 crotchets, 8 quavers or 16 semiquavers. Or of course, it could be a mixture of those because remember, we sing a rhythm over and above the beat. So here we have some examples of bars that have a mixture of notes. The first one again in your 4/4 time signature is 2 crotchets and a minim. So simple maths, that adds up to 4. In the next bar along, we'll see a minim followed by 4 quavers. Remember, they're joined by the bar across the top when they're written in groups. So 4 quavers adds up to 2 crotchets, and 2 crotchets add up to 1 minim. So there you have 4 beats, 1 note of 2 beats, and 4 notes of half a beat each. In the next bar, you'll see 2 quavers, 1 crotchet, and 1 minim. And once again, total all those up, and you'll see that they add up to 4 beats. And then, of course, we've got our big friend, the semibreve, which lasts for 4 beats. So how does this fit with what we learnt about rhythm and beat? Remember that the beat is the pulse running through the song. Remember our marching soldiers. But we're going to be a wee bit more sophisticated than marching soldiers. We're going to think of this as the beat of the pulse running through the song. Rhythm is the arrangement of notes that we sing over or around that beat. We don't sing solidly to that single pulsing beat. We sing longer and shorter notes around it to create a rhythm over and above that constant pulsing beat. So the beat is defined by the time signature and remains constant. The rhythm is defined by the arrangement of notes of different values that we sing. Jim or Steve will conduct that beat throughout the piece to keep us in time. The conductor beats the pulse, but we can help ourselves by counting. This is particularly important in complicated rhythms, or when we see rests. We'll obviously do more about rests later, but we need to learn to count the number of beats to the bar. In the 3 time signatures we've learnt, each bar has 2, 3 or 4 crotchet beats, as we've said, and we could count them out loud. We would count a 2/4 beat as 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Or in a 3/4 time signature, we count in threes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or in a 4/4 time signature, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you say those out loud to yourself, or count them as I've just done, you'll realise that it naturally introduces a kind of rhythm of its own. Now the reason that works is because I've typed them in bold to emphasise the different feel, or what's known as the metre of the different time signatures. We emphasise the bold notes to enhance the overall rhythmic feel, although we do it subtly. We're singers, not drummers, as I've... That 1, 2, 1, 2 mimics our soldiers' boots from lesson 1. So it sounds like we're marching through a piece of music. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. In a 3/4 time signature, the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 gives an impression of waltzing. It has a smooth flow through the music, and a piece of music in a 3/4 time signature has that flowing, waltzing smoothness that goes with a 1, 2, 3. Far more smooth and flowing than a 1, 2, 1, 2, which is often called a march. The 4/4 meter is more versatile. Although you can make a 4/4 meter sound like a march, it is far more versatile, and often the emphasis on the third beat is subtler than on the first, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next time you're at rehearsal, or have a look through your folder of music, have a look for those different time signatures, and if you see any 2/4, 3/4 or 4/4, listen to the way the music feels. You'll get the feel of what we've called the meter of the different time signatures, and see how those different time signatures create a different feel to the piece that we're singing. Now we're going to put all this new knowledge together, and we can show how the notes we've learnt fit over the beat to create a rhythm. We normally count the beat in our heads, but practice this out loud. We're going to go back to our example piece, and because we're going to be counting the rhythm over and above the top of the beat, we're going to count our notes. Although we could simply count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That shows where the beat fits. Here, we're going to show how the rhythm that we sing, or in this instance play, creates that rhythm over and above the beat.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you'll see how the different note lengths create that rhythm, but the beat continues solidly throughout the piece. I've included counting the rhythm as it's most relevant for us as singers. Obviously, we need to remember through our knowledge of the note lengths and note values what that rhythm sounds like over and above the beat, but we do need to understand where it fits with the beat running behind it. In all of the tests and exercises that you're going to do later, you will simply be asked to show where the beats fall. So next time you're at rehearsal, practice counting the beat in your head. You might like to tap your foot. Although, as we found out the other day, Jim's not a big fan of people tapping feet, so do it quietly or silently. What is really important, though, is that we watch the conductor, because the conductor will always show the beat. And all the time that you're watching the beat, make sure that you're singing the notes on your score to the correct length. That way, the rhythm that you are singing fits over the beat. So we've learnt to recognise how many beats there are in a bar. We've got a feel for the meter of the different time signatures. And we can count the rhythm against the beat. But how do we know how fast that song is going to be? Well, we watch the conductor and listen to Jane playing the intro. although that sounds pretty simple, how do they know? How does Jim or Steve know how fast to conduct the piece? They're shown 4/4, but is that a really slow 4/4 or a fast 4/4 or a really rapid 1-2-3 1-2-3, or is it a slow drawn out smooth 1-2-3? Well, look at the scores in your folder and you'll see that the composer or the arranger will often have given us an indication of how many beats there are in a minute. You'll see in the top left hand corner an indication, and that will show you how many beats per minute. So if you look at the first photo there, that's a score, the Song of the Jolly Roger. That says vigoroso, which means vigorously in Italian, and next to it we have a crotchet and an indication that a crotchet equals 80. That is 80 crotchets per minute. Now, as a time signature, 80 beats to the minute isn't necessarily very fast, but remember that we sing the Jolly Roger chiefly in quavers and semiquavers. So although a crotchet is, there are 80 crotchets to the minute, we sing the Jolly Roger pretty rapidly because it's in quavers. So that's how the rhythm differs from the beat that's running through the piece. If you look at the next picture, that's from Mr. Blue Sky. Now we know that that's another good fast piece, and in this case, one crotchet is, there are 175 crotchets to the minute. Now that means it's moving along at a fair lick, as we know it is. But you'll also notice something else about the time signature on there. You'll see that that C has a line through it. That means that although we sing chiefly crotchets throughout that, it's actually beaten in what's called cut time. That line through the C indicates that we're actually singing it in 2/2 time. So there are 2 minims to the bar. We know that's 4 crotchets. And we're probably singing, as you can certainly see in the intro there, the piano chords that are being played in crotchets. And, as we've said, moving on at a lick, because the crotchets are 175 to the minute. So that's a fast piece. On the next one along, that's good old Vincent. And we know that that is a moderate ballad, as Jim has made perfectly clear on the top there, and that the crotchet beat there is 76 crotchet beats to the minute. Sounds a bit precise, but there is a distinctive reason for it, and that is because it flows at the ballad pace that we're used to singing it. So the tempo is shown in crotchets per minute in these examples, as I've said, and that's really all there is to it. But remember, the notes that you sing may not be all crotchets, and that is a classic example with the Song of the Jolly Roger. 80 crotchet beats to the minute the song is nowhere near as slow as Vincent, for example. There's only four beats to the minute difference between the tempo of Vincent and the tempo of the Song of the Jolly Roger. But here is our lesson in rhythm. We sing the Song of the Jolly Roger in quavers and semiquavers. We move along at quite a lick, despite the actual tempo shown at the top are very close in number, 80 to the minute versus 76 to the minute. How can you work out what tempo sounds like? Well, you can download a metronome app onto your phone and listen to the various speeds. Obviously, a metronome app on your phone, it will ask you to input the number of beats per minute you want to listen to. Or you can go onto YouTube and search for metronomes. There are loads and loads of choices there, and you simply type into the search bar at the top of YouTube, metronome 60 beats per minute 4/4 time, and they'll give you examples of that. Listen to how the metronome plays those steady beats and get a feel for what different tempos sound and feel like. as I say, alter the speed of the metronome and change the time signature settings on your app as well. If you do that, you'll type in some metronomes in 3/4 time, type some in 2/4 time, type some in 4/4 time, and get a feel of how the different time signatures change the meter. Quite often with metronomes, it will emphasise the first beat of the bar, or in 4/4 time, the first and the third. So you'll get that pulse. You'll get the feel for that meter as the metronome runs. So, we've learned how the music is divided into bars, and we know what the bars look like. We know how to identify the time signature, and we know how to count the beats per bar. We know how long the notes we sing are ordered, how the notes that we sing are ordered to create a rhythm over the beat, because we counted the notes themselves with the beat in the background. And we understand how the conductor conducts the beat. And also we know how the composer tells us how fast to perform the piece by looking at that tempo sign up in that tempo instruction up in the top left-hand corner. Now go on to your workbooks and look at exercises 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. See how well you've learnt this all-important first chapter on rhythm. So those 5 exercises are going to ask you to identify time signatures, show how many beats there are in a bar, and basically just go and recap over what we've done in this second video. Don't forget, it will also refer back to your knowledge that we learnt in the first video, where we learnt the time and the note values themselves. Fantastic stuff. We've now completed the first chapter on rhythm and tempo. Don't forget, every time you're at rehearsal, look at your scores and practice naming all the symbols we've learnt so far. All this is about learning how to read your piece of music. So use the opportunity to drill the information in that you're absorbing. Count the beats, look at the tempo, look at the time signature, remember how long each note lasts for, and get a feel. For example, if you're singing a semi-breve, practice counting all 4 notes and singing all 4 beats of that semi-breve in your head. We're going to come back to some more rhythm stuff later. We haven't finished completely on rhythm. But next time we're going to be start looking at pitch. We'll be looking at staves, clefs, and the placing of the notes. So we're arranging the notes to create music. Now I'm perfectly happy to answer any questions, and of course genuinely want to hear whether or not you're enjoying these videos. If I'm getting anything wrong, I need to know. But importantly, have fun. Remember, this is all about making your musicianship more enjoyable. It gives you a feeling of being more involved, and if we can read the music in front of us, we're going to be having so much of a good time rather than just parroting back stuff that's being sung or played to us. That feeling of accomplishment that we can actually read what we're singing and understand the different, particularly through this rhythm section, the different note values and what they mean to us. So have a lot of fun, do those exercises, and we'll see you next time for video 3. Thank you very much.